Hi, my name is Dennis Lynn. I'll be presenting how to insert the Foley catheter today. The learning outcomes are the student will explain what a Foley catheter is and when it should be used. The student will identify the supplies together for inserting the Foley catheter. The student will demonstrate how to use proper technique to insert the Foley catheter. The evaluation plan would be the student will gather the material for inserting the Foley catheter. The student will participate in the group activity on learning how to use the Foley catheter step by step. And by the end of the class, the student will be able to demonstrate how to insert the Foley catheter. So here's the lesson plan. I'll be spending 10 minutes explaining to the students how to, why it is important to insert a Foley catheter, and then after that, I'll have a PowerPoint presentation of step by step of inserting the Foley catheter. So step 1, you'll have to ask the patient if they are allergic to the betadine or latex prior to inserting the Foley catheter. Then the patient's allergy free, you explain why you're inserting the Foley catheter to them. As you gather your Foley kit and your sterile glove to the bedside table, you open the Foley package. You have to make sure as you open the package with the edges, you have to keep this field sterile. The next step is to drape the person with the peri dressing. The peri dressing is to cover them so you can only have the exposed region where you can concentrate. Step 4 is to don the sterile gloves on. You start with the dominant hand. You take the inside of the sterile glove. You pinch it with your non-dominant hand, and you don the glove on with your dominant for the dominant hand, and then you swoop in with your dominant hand that's sterile, and you take the cuff of the non-dominant hand, and you undon the non-dominant glove on your non-dominant hand, and that will then you'll be done with donning the sterile gloves. You just want to make sure that you don't touch anything that's non-sterile that could desterilize your gloves on. So this step, you want to test your balloon, your Foley balloon, and so you hook up the syringe to the Foley catheter and you inflate the Foley balloon. Some nurses do not test the Foley balloon, whether they some nurses just don't inflate the Foley balloon. It is probably because based on the hospital policy. So you want to check your hospital policy whether to inflate the balloon or not. But for right now, we're gonna test the Foley uh, Foley balloon to see if it works. After that, you apply betadine to the cotton, and once you're done applying the betadine to the cotton, you apply the lubricant to the Foley tip. Now this step, you want to use your non-dominant hand to spread the labia. Once you spread the labia with the non-dominant hand, that is not sterile anymore. So you want to keep your dominant hand sterile from here on out, and you want to keep them apart from each other, your dominant and non-dominant hand. So with your dominant hand, you'll take the cotton ball with the betadine. You want to swipe downwards on the right side first, and then you drop the cotton ball into the trash. And then you want to repeat again on the left side, the second cotton ball, and then down the center with the third cotton ball. After applying the betadine to the patient and cleaning the peri-region, you're going to tell the patient that I am about to insert the Foley catheter. And while you insert the Foley catheter, you tell the patient to take slow deep breaths while inserting the catheter. So with your dominant hand that's sterile, you start inserting the Foley catheter in the patient. And you keep inserting the Foley catheter until you see urine return in the tube, in the Foley tube. And you will continue to insert the Foley catheter another 2 to 3 inches after you see the urine coming through the tube. Now, after you insert the Foley catheter, you want to inflate the catheter balloon. So with your syringe that's hooked up already, you inflate the Foley catheter balloon with the syringe, and then you remove the syringe after inflating the Foley catheter. Then you gently tug on the catheter to see the balloon, if the balloon is inflated and the catheter is in place. After inserting the Foley catheter, you want to prepare the stat lock to secure the Foley catheter to the patient's leg. After securing the Foley catheter to the patient's leg, you want to initial your name, your first name and last name, and date of when the Foley catheter is inserted. After all this, you will hang the Foley catheter at the rail of the bed. You just want to make sure that it's below the bed, because you don't want any infection if it's above the bed. And then the last step is you remove all the trash. You assist the patient back to the comfortable position, and you want to make sure the bed is back to the lowest level. And always document on when you insert the Foley catheter and how the patient tolerated the procedure. So after explaining the situation, the PowerPoint lecture on how to insert the Foley catheter to the class, I'll spend 20 minutes demonstrating how to insert the Foley catheter in front of the students. And when finishing the demonstration, I'll have the students divided up into groups to practice on inserting the Foley catheter, and that would take 30 minutes, and I'll take another 5 minutes for the question and answer session. So this will complete the lesson plan for teaching how to insert the Foley catheter. I would say in a week or so, well, there will be a check-off list in which each student have to perform inserting the Foley catheter to be competent in their skill. This concludes my presentation. Is there any questions that you would like to ask? Please let me know. Thank you very much.